The Champions League is back. It is the San Siro. It is Inter Milan versus Arsenal. A game that has not been played for quite some time. And we have good memories there. But it has been so long. It was a very different Arsenal. And it is a very different Arsenal to what we see today. Joining me on the preview is none other than a good friend of the show, Inter Milan fan, Judge Mo. Mo, how are you, my bro?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Can't wait for the game, for the Champions League game, bro. Can't wait to smash Arsenal and shot some of the Arsenal fan base. No European heritage Arsenal, just coming to the San Siro, you know. We can be shameless sometimes, or we can be objective at the same time as well. But the way Arsenal fans talk then, bro, it's they riled up. Do you know they riled up? For the people that don't know, if you're watching this, go and actually check the Inter fans on Twitter that are in Italian. They are Arsenal fans riled up the Curva Nord, the ultras of Inter in Italy.
Listen, Arsenal and Inter Milan as a social media fan base goes off, right? I think if we're talking Champions League, we are elite level when it comes to social media. Would you agree? Both
We
sets of
we
fans.
don't have the fan base as you, but our social media guys, the guys that go on social media, they're so shameless. It's unbelievable. These same people that wanted Lautaro to win Ballon d'Or. So we kind of have similar, like shameless fans. We have the best this, we have the best that, we're the best this, we're the best that. Shamelessness at its best. It's actually the same. So I like it. I like the fire thing that is happening between the two teams. I'll talk about. I don't think even the game is not even as important as our fans make it be. To be honest with you,
It's true. It's true. Look, before we go into the ins and outs of both clubs and this game, you said yesterday when I spoke to you, and you've said today on this show that you think we're going to smash Arsenal. You're quietly confident that this is going to be an Inter Milan win. Why do you think that, bro?
we. I put a lot of emphasis on people playing at home, which is I said even if Man City come to our ground, I expect Inter to win. Same for your team. When you're at the top of your game, when you're the team that is the best in the country, I know that Inter concede goals now, same as Arsenal in the league, and we are in top of the league. If Real Madrid are coming to my ground, this is not the Inter of 7, 8 years ago. This is the Inter now that anyone that comes to our ground, I'm expecting 3 points. But if it's a cup, I'm expecting to go through. And it doesn't matter who you are, Bayern, Barcelona. That's what people don't understand. And I believe that all the big teams expect the same from their players and from their clubs. No one goes to the Emirates and are on favorites. Arsenal are always the favorite teams at the Emirates. No matter who comes in. If Real Madrid tomorrow play at the Emirates, you would still back your team to win the game. This is why if we were playing at the Emirates, I would have had completely different talk. But any team coming to San Siro, I'm expecting my team to win the game. I'm expecting my players to rise, and I'm expecting my team to win and get. It's not just a 3 points. I'm expecting at least a 2+ goal margin against Arsenal. To be honest with you,
Wow. And that's because you put Inter Milan on a pedestal higher than Arsenal at the San Siro, right?
at the
You
same,
believe that.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because a lot of people will get that confused and think that you believe that Inter Milan anywhere will beat Arsenal by 2, 3 goals. But you're saying because it's at the San Siro, Champions League, you believe the fan base, the team, the players, the coach, everyone will be elite level in comparison to us. Look, you're backing your team. I get that. That's
If
cool.
I'm at the Emirates, I'll take a point tomorrow. You ask me, I'm going to the Emirates. I'll take a point and run away with it and go back.
Okay.
Without a shadow, I'll take a point and run with it.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's like
let me throw this back at you then, because Arsenal away from home have actually looked pretty good defensively, compact, resolute. However, we do concede goals. We have had injuries, and to be fair, I'll say this: it's been Premier League, but Champions League is very different. Now, Mikel Arteta's route is actually pretty poor in European games away. We lost to Porto, we've lost to games in the Europa Leagues to Villarreal's and Olympiacos before, and Sporting Lisbon's before. We've never looked good away from home, even if we've drew some of them games. Atalanta, we got a 0-0 draw, but let's be real, I don't look at Atalanta and think, wow, but I certainly didn't think it was a horrendous result at the time. Going to the San Siro, I think this is the hardest game that we've got in the new format of the Champions League. I thought PSG at home we would beat. We did quite comfortably. I believe Sporting Lisbon, Girona, the away games we've got, I believe they'll be easier than Inter Milan at the San Siro. And the reason I say that is because I think you are, on your day, one of the best teams around. I really do. But I don't watch the Serie A. And I'm sure that some of our listeners are Arsenal fans that don't watch Serie A either. So tell me how Inter Milan have been getting on at the start of this season over in your league, bro.
We've been horrendous. We've been absolutely atrocious in some of the games. But however, in the same time, we went to the Roma, to the Olympico Stadium, and we beat Roma away. We beat Atalanta 4. So we're doing good. However, when we faced Milan, we lost 3-1. And when we faced Juventus, we were 4-2 up and we drew against them. The thing about Inter against Arsenal, and we haven't been great this season. However, in big games and in a game like this, the reason why I believe my team will win this game is that because I believe my manager will adapt. You have been away from home defensively good. We're not going to try to do what other teams do against you. I believe my manager will have a very, very balanced game where he's going to drop deep when Arsenal has the ball, and you struggle to break low blocks this season. On the counter attack, I think it's not about the speed. I think Marcus Thuram, Barella, DeMarco on the left, I think they can absolutely beat Arsenal's defense on the counter attack. I'm not saying we're going to play on the counter attack, but the game, in my opinion, will be like this: when Inter has the ball, Arsenal drop deep. When Arsenal has the ball, Inter will drop deep. No team is going to press unless Arteta changes the way he plays. We haven't been great in the league, even though we're 4 points, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 points behind Napoli at the current moment. They're flying with Antonio Conte. We're 4 points behind them, played 10 games. We have conceded abundance of goals, but also we score a lot of goals as well. Arsenal's offense is not as strong. Your defense is strong, but you still concede goals. The thing about Inter this season is that I think the team is complacent, which is from the kickoff, the first game, a lot of media are saying that Inter already won the league, and that played into some of the players' minds. We won the league already. However, in the Champions League, it's completely different. If you watch the way we played against City, if you watch the way we play in the Champions League, we are a team that is suited for the bigger games, the bigger occasions. And I think this is why against Arsenal, will come on top, I believe, in this game. I'll be disappointed if we get a point, to be honest, in this game. I think Arsenal fans think that they're going to come in because people only watch. I watch my team and I watch all Arsenal. I watched every single Arsenal game this season. Apart from the Princeton game yesterday or 2 days ago, I watched it, but it was the third game I'm watching. I don't believe Arsenal as strong as people make them be this season. I think you have started very slow. Your manager is adapting. Every single game is different. Circumstances are not circumstances. It's different. Plan. Even the way you approach the Bournemouth game before the red card of Saliba, it was different than the way you approach Brighton game. Than the way you approach Villa game away from home, which is supposed to be one of the toughest games you played this season. The Spurs game were different. So for me, Arsenal are hard to read this season, but also so Inter. But I believe that your manager hasn't found a solution yet, in my opinion. Yes, you're winning some games. The form that you were on, Potts, in the last 18 games of last season, were one of the best forms I believe you have watched ever, Arsenal, ever, even invincible season. Winning 16 games, dominating teams, going away from homes, and making a team like Brighton look so mediocre is something that I don't think Arsenal have seen in quite a while. That form is not back yet. Arteta's trying to figure it out. How to make this happen again. Injuries, red cards, yes. But on the ground, Arsenal haven't been at their best yet. People are hopeful that you'll come back. I think you agree with me in this, that you haven't found your form yet. And playing away at the San Siro, it will require a lot of work. Also being sandwiched between Newcastle and Chelsea away from home, it doesn't play into your hand at all.
Well, look, let me ask you then, because I think I know why we have not been on this form. And I think there's a number of reasons. It could be a culmination. What's your opinion on why Arsenal haven't looked at their best so far? Do you put it down to personnel? Do you put it down to Mikel Arteta? Do you put it down to injuries, red cards? Is there a culmination? Where are you at with this, Mo?
I actually believe it started with the Villa game,
Okay.
which is it's something that I came into the conclusion yesterday. Of course, circumstances against City and against other teams. I believe it's the Villa game. In the Villa game, you dominated Villa away from home with over 60% position. You literally smothered them into their area. But Villa created the clear-cut chances in the game. One of them was a mistake from Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken, with the ball at his back. And one of them was created by bypassing your press. And I think in that time, Arteta thought, maybe I should lean more on the defensive side of my team and leave the forward line to Saka, Havertz, Odegaard for the creativity, Trossard. Of course, Odegaard got injured after this. But I think that game sparked something in Arteta that he doesn't want to lose a lot of points. And he started approaching the game more cautious. Even the Bournemouth game, by the way. Yes, you pressed and everything, but you pressed for like 5 minutes or 8 minutes. And then after this, you chose to sit deep when Bournemouth got the ball. That's why Bournemouth were able to pass the ball around. Brighton is the same. Before the red card of Declan Rice, I believe Arteta is afraid of losing points and he's not letting his players go for it. That's why we haven't seen Saliba or Gabriel defend in spaces like we have seen them last season. And I think it started from the Villa game, of course, coupled with the circumstances of red cards that happened against City, against Bournemouth, and against Brighton. And the injuries didn't help with not having Odegaard, Moreno as well. I believe that's why he's cautious. He doesn't want to lose a lot of points. The problem is you already lost a lot of points. You're already 5 points behind City. That is already at this stage of the season is not good. Especially if City are winning games not convincingly. So what happens when City start going on a 55 games, winning streak? I believe it's down to Arteta being afraid, in my opinion. Afraid of losing points, of opening it up.
You think he's been a bit negative at times? Because obviously the Liverpool game is the last game that I had physically watched us and felt 1-0, go kill it off at 2-0, went a little bit more negative. 2-1, go and, they were there for the kill. You smell blood, go and kill the team off. We didn't do that. We didn't go to 3-1. In fact, we ended up drawing the game 2-2. And I just look at that kind of game and think, why is that with Mikel Arteta? Because I've seen this in the past with previous Arsenal sides before Arteta go 2-0 up, 3-0 up, 4-0 up, games done. And I felt, although I respect Liverpool, I did feel they were there for the taking. And I'm not sure that a draw is a good result for either club, if I'm honest. So do you think Arteta has gone from playing a little bit of pep a couple of years ago to thinking that wasn't enough, we need to be a little bit careful now, and now he's gone a little bit too careful, do you think?
Too careful is the word. He's too careful. Again, the problem is he pressed when he had Kivior and Skelly at the back. And he dropped deep when Timber and Gabriel were still a little bit fit, which it doesn't make any sense to me. Because you conceded the second goal that Liverpool scored playing a high line with Kivior and Skelly, and Darwin Núñez had 40 yards to run behind. And I'm like, what are you doing, Arteta? You should, at that time, park the bus the last 15 minutes. Park the bus. And he didn't. I think he managed the game wrong. Listen, I don't know. I want to throw back at you. And I think he's too careful. He's too cautious, as I said. Do you think the pressure is getting to him? Do you think he's feeling the pressure from the fans? Do you think the likes of Roy Keane and what's his name? Gary Neville and Carragher are getting in his head? There's too much talk. Every time I see the media, they're talking about him. Oh, you have to win the league this season. You have to win the league. Do you think the pressure is getting to him? People forget that still Arteta doesn't have a lot of... Arteta's not Mourinho. Arteta's not Ancelotti. Arteta's not Pep. Arteta has basically 5 years of a full-time manager. Slot has more experience than him. He's not that old.
There's definitely questions there where I don't think he should be allowing the pressure to get to him. I think he should be allowing the pressure to get to him in terms of him trying to win a major honour. That's different. In terms of what people are saying, I actually take it as a little bit more of a backhanded compliment in a way. And I'll tell you why. If he is a Mourinho now, not a Pep, Mourinho's won a hell of a lot of trophies. That might be a compliment, right? If we win the league in a Jose Mourinho way or a Pep Guardiola way, I don't really care. I think everybody would prefer us to win 4-5-0 and look comfortable like Pep Guardiola does and play beautiful football. But if we have to dig in and win games 1-0, 2-1, I really don't care, Mo. Just give me the league. I don't care how we do it, right? Secondly, in terms of Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane and all this putting pressure, the reason they're doing it is because Arsenal are relevant again. So we should take that as a compliment too. Everybody talking about, oh, Arsenal are boring. We don't really respect them playing this way. We don't listen. 5 years ago, I was asking people, who should we have at the back, Mustafi or Holding? Right. So let's look at where we're at now. Yeah, I think we need to put respect on his name for that. However, my question back to you is what I was going to ask you, because I've never actually got your answer with this, because you and I share a lot of content together, but we're usually on panels where we're asking other people this or people are asking me and you this. Where are you at? This is quite a mad question to ask in terms of how many questions I'm asking, but it all revolves into Rum. Your thoughts on Mikel Arteta, the manager, and the job he's done at Arsenal, and what pressure he is under this season to deliver.
Fantastic job. Arsenal were not in the fold just 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago, you were battling Antonio Conte for fourth place. And in that summer, I remember after Antonio Conte got them, in that summer, no one thought that Arsenal would start the season with 15 games winning out of 18 and 16 out of the first 19 games. You won you drew 51 points out of the first 19 games. That is a lot. And no one expected that. And that's down to his work. No one tells me it's down to anybody's work. He made you, let me pull it again. He made you relevant again, as he said. Mikel Arteta, if Inzaghi leaves tomorrow and you're giving me Mikel Arteta, I would take him. This notion that he hasn't won a trophy. Yes, he hasn't won a trophy, but he has done a fantastic work. And everyone that says, let go of Arteta, let go of Arteta, I am with them if he doesn't win a Champions League or a Premier League this season. However, there are contexts to it. But also at the same time, these are the same people that say, if we get another manager, they will win the league. Okay, whose work is that then? Who built this team? Is it that manager or is it Mikel Arteta? Who developed Saka? Gabriel. A lot of Arsenal fans wanted Gabriel out. He did it. Xhaka at the last seat before he left. He did it. Thomas Partey is assumed one of the best midfielders in the league. He did that. Saka. Kai Havertz, he revived his career. So to Odegaard, this guy's career, Odegaard, was taking a dip that Real Madrid wanted to sell him at any cost. At any cost. Right? He revived their career. Ben White, Ramsdale. People forget that Ramsdale was a scrub before joining Arsenal. You sold him for over 20 million pounds or over that. Raya as well. That's down to Mikel Arteta. But at the end, you have to win, right? You have to win at the end. But of course, that doesn't discredit the work he's done at Arsenal, taking you from being 8th or 5th or not even in the conversation to be closer to the top or close. It's not enough being close, but in the same time, it's his work. So to me, it's time for him to win. It's time for him to win the league or the Champions League. However, there has to be a circumstance under, behind it as well. I'm not about the cups. I'm a person that is not about the cups. But if you ask me, would you take Mikel Arteta once Inzaghi leaves? Yeah. Do I believe Arteta is better than a lot of other managers in the world? Yes. Does he have to get over the line and win it and all this talk? Probably yes, but probably he will at some point. But can Arsenal wait? No. The answer to the question, should you as a big club wait for a manager to have 6 years without winning a major honor? No. You shouldn't. No big club should. Man United, Chelsea, Inter, Milan, Juventus, nobody. Real Madrid, Barcelona. I can name names. All the clubs that are used to winning trophies, they shouldn't have a manager for over 4 or 5 years without winning a Champions League or a Premier League. Try another one. But again, I'm not going to discredit him for the work he's done, Dan. He's done a fantastic job. If we sit here today and talk about Arsenal's chances of winning the Champions League last season, which is you, because I believe you, because of the lack of experience, after 14 years, the last time your name was mentioned about winning the Champions League was 2007, when you were in the semi-final, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's 2024. That is 17 years later or 18 years later, 17 years later. down the road, your name is being mentioned about one of the teams that can win the Champions League. I'm not saying favorites. That is down to him. You were not even, no one would have mentioned Arsenal of winning the Champions League if it wasn't for the work he's done. Would any manager have done his work? Maybe. I don't know. But he's the one who did it. So that is the thing that people fail to mention that a lot, Dan. Is that 17 years, your name is not even in the books. What are like 1,000 to 1 to win the Champions League? Or didn't even qualify at some years. We're talking now about people saying Arsenal are built to win the Champions League, to win it. Last season, who knows if you beat Bayern? You didn't. At a quarterfinal of the Champions League, your name was mentioned. I'm just going to say this. Arsenal last season, the name was mentioned ahead of Bayern of winning the Champions League. That by itself is something.
Listen, there's a lot of what you said there I agree with. In fact, I agree with the majority of it. I think it's time now. It's time to deliver. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of his own way. There's a lot of money being spent. And this is why I put pressure on him to deliver. Unlike you, I actually do care for the cups as well. And I think that would be safe enough for him to keep his job. He has to win a major, in my opinion, Premier League or Champions League. But to be fair, an FA Cup and the League Cup, to be honest, I wouldn't be looking at that saying that was a horrendous season for him, right? You said there's context and there's circumstances. Let me throw some at you. We take Manchester City to the last game of the season, but we fall short. We miss out again by 2 points, let's say, same as last season. We get to a Champions League final, we lose to Real Madrid in the final. What do you say then?
Yeah. To be honest with you, you take Man City to the last day, you get to a quarterfinal or semi-final, he wins one of the cups. Yeah, just keep him in the job. But again, I asked the question and I don't know the question, right? I'm not an Arsenal fan, Dan, at the end, right? You're the Arsenal fan. What is your threshold? How many? So for my club, for Inter, I'm gonna tell you this, right? And you take it as much as you want. You translate this into Arsenal. I will never accept a manager at my club for more than 4 years without winning the league or the Champions League, no matter what the circumstances are. And don't care if you win the cup every year. I consider my club big enough to always aim for the manager to have, within 3 or 4 years, have a league or a Champions League. That's it. Every 3-4 years. No less, no more. I'm not going to say 2 years. I'm not going to say 3 years. So for me, Inzaghi has won the league last season. We are the best team this season. If Inzaghi, in the next 3 years, doesn't win the league or the Champions League, he should go. And I'm going to say 2 years because he has a team that is ready. It depends how you view Arsenal. And the difference between Arsenal and Inter is that you haven't won a major trophy in 20 years. Am I belittling Arsenal? Maybe. And people don't understand when I say, am I belittling Arsenal? Maybe. But I am doing this, but at the same time, I'm saying, you consider yourself a big club. Do you believe Manchester United can keep a manager 4 years without a Champions League or a Premier League? No. Man City now? No. Chelsea? No. So it depends where you hold your club. To be honest, did he do a good job? Yes. But at the end, what's the threshold then? Cup. Who cares? Anybody can win the cup. Ten Hag won the cup. So for me, I would, to take it back to Inter, since this is an Inter Arsenal, if Inzaghi doesn't win the league this season, I'm going to have questions. Massive ones. Why? Because we are the best team in the league. The reason why, even though he won the league last season, because we are the best team in the league. If he doesn't win me the Champions League or the league, I'm going to ask you questions. However, I'm going to give you a chance. Why? Because you won it last season. Now comes next season and you don't win the league. Now there's more questions. So Arsenal, to be honest with you, it depends. Do you view your club as an entertaining club? That's it? Or do you consider your club a big club that needs to win the major trophies? That's how I view Arsenal, to be honest.
So let me answer that. The way you look at football with your standards is the way I look at football with Arsenal. Okay? We should always be challenging and we should always be delivering. And that is delivering at the highest order as well. That's not just getting League Cups here and there, FA Cups here and there, like Arsene Wenger was doing in his last 10 years. Arteta has taken us out of the mud and he's got us challenging again. Absolutely fine. Well done. That is not a trophy. That's just progressing well. if he can't deliver us a trophy, a Premier League or a Champions League, then of course I'm going to be having the same doubts that you've got in Inzaghi if he doesn't do it this year. The difference is I don't think Arsenal are the best team in the league. I think Manchester City are, right? Whereas Inter Milan are the best team in Serie A. So that's
Yes.
the only difference. That's the only difference there, right? However, I will say this: my standards are like yours. If he can't win a Premier League and a Champions League, we need to find somebody who can. We should be able to win a trophy. But the problem I've got, Mo, our owners don't talk like the fan base that I have. There is a lot of our fans as well, and it's not just like me. There's a minority like me that actually believe that there should be time to deliver now or we time to move on. There's also fans that go, who is better? There's nobody better. We keep Arteta until he delivers. But the ownership are what's the problem at the club. Now, I'm not saying they're the problem because they're a disgrace, etc., because they've spent a lot of money in the club and they've backed him with everything that's needed. But ultimately, they need to make the decision on whether they believe Mikel Arteta can win us a Champions League or a Premier League. And if they believe he can, which I think they truly believe he can, I think he's staying. I'll be absolutely stunned and shocked if Arteta was to get sacked this season. Because I think the worst we can actually have happen to us is finish third and trophyless. And I don't think that's enough for the Cronkies to sack him. Because they'll say it's Champions League. We're happy. Let's go again. We back him more. That's what the Cronkies are about, man. Cronkies definitely, in my
No.
opinion, are not about Arsenal winning. Otherwise, we would have won something by now. That's what I think the owners are about, man. I
I'm
think
gonna
the
tell you
owners,
something actually. Regression means sacking then.
but I don't. Do you think the owners would sack him?
I don't know the owners. I don't know your owners.
I do. Trust me.
How? How are you spending that money on Moreno, on Calafiori, on Declan Rice, on Kai Havertz, on Raya, on Ramsdale? I'm paying the guy second highest wage bill. You have the second highest wage in the league from managers, and you're telling me third and trophies, and because you got Champions League. With all due respect, this is gonna sound mad to people, right? Vincent Company can get you into the Champions League with his Arsenal team. Maresca can get you in the Champions League with his Arsenal team. A lot of managers now in the world that will cost third of what Arteta makes will get this team to a Champions League. So why keep him? If you want to talk about the owners, with all due respect, you have a very good team. Am I wrong? You have amazing players with Saka, Rice, Odegaard, brilliant defenders, very good goalkeeper now. Why pay Arteta that much money then? If the owners are about the money, we would sack him and get a cheaper manager and just aim for the Champions League. That's it. Thomas
I don't think
Frank
it's
can
ever
take
been, I
him
don't
to
think
the
it's ever
Champions
been
League.
about the money. I think it's been a lack of ambition to win. Because otherwise, why would we be in January wondering why we're not going to sign someone? Why would we have left the summer with Raheem Sterling as the best attacking option that we could find? Why did we not go and get a Gyökeres? Why didn't we not try and go and push the boat out and try and get a Kvaratskhelia? Why didn't we try and get Isak? Why didn't we try and get even somebody like Kudus or Eze or Pedro Neto that Chelsea got? Why? Because Sterling was the cheaper option. Because they're going to pay most of the wages and he'll just do for now. And this is where I look at the ownership and the board, and why I've said previously, I don't think the ownership and the board have done enough in this summer to say to Mikel Arteta, there's the team, go and win the league now. So if we don't win the league, I can't then say Arteta's got to go just because actually, nah, there's more to it than that. The reason that I'll be Arteta has to go is if we don't lift anything, because this team is good enough to win a trophy now, right? That's where I'm at. But the ownership and the board, I've never been a fan of them. I never have. I never liked them. I don't think they've ever put all into Arsenal, but they have with their American clubs. Absolutely. They've gone and won with the Rams. They're going to run with the Nuggets. They're going to run with XYZ, Colorado Rapids. This is now Arsenal's time. They're telling us it's Arsenal's time. Josh Kroenke said it's Arsenal's time, but they're not delivering in the transfer window for us. We've always been short. Every single transfer window in the last 15 years since the Cronkies have been here, we've been feeling like, why was that only a 6 or a 7 out of 10 when it should have been a 9 or a 10? Where's that? Wow, look at Arsenal. Look who they've just bought. Do you really believe? Like, let me ask you, Inter Milan are in our Premier League, right? Let's just say they are. Would you look at Arsenal's transfer window and go, oh my God, that's scary? Calafiori, Marino, and Sterling, that's going to win them the league. No. Manchester City and Liverpool were going, oh, thank God for that. In fact, LB said, oh, thank God for that. Arsenal and Liverpool aren't serious. We're going to win it again. Brilliant. Because they had Chiesa and we had our window. So that's why I believe the ownership and the board need to have actual pressure on them as well as Mikel Arteta. And you know what? If Mikel Arteta's got pressure and the pressure isn't to sack him, then it's on the board and the ownership. Because if they're not going to get rid of this guy, if we're still falling short, then actually it doesn't become Super Mix's problem. It becomes Cronky's problem. That's what it becomes. So that's where I'm at.
Listen, Arsenal are good enough to win the league then. You're good enough to win the league then. Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, Havertz, Odegaard, Moreno, Rice, Partey, Jorginho. Your back line, you're good enough to win the league. I'm telling you, Grealish, Doku, Savinho they aren't fantastic. They don't have Zane. They don't have Mahrez anymore. But they have Bernardo Silva on the wing who doesn't score goals. Jack Grealish, LB, on his stream. Jack Grealish hasn't scored since December 2023. And because they have Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne has been out. 10 games in then. Kevin De Bruyne is out. Played one game. Your team is good enough to win the league. I'm not taking you. Liverpool and City have 3 good enough teams to win the Premier League. You're not worse than Man City. Your defense is levels above them. Levels above them. Without Rodri, their midfield is all right. Gundogan. Have you watched Gundogan being subbed off at 45 minutes? Kovacic, yes, he's playing out of his skin, but this is Kovacic. We have seen this before. Who else in the midfield? Foden. It's had a horrific season so far. So it's all about Pep then. So if we're going to say, oh, we're going against Pep, all right then. So it's not about the team. It's about the manager quality. You can't have it both though. So for Arsenal fans, people shouldn't have it. You can't have both. It's your team is good enough. Your manager though, that's the best. There's only one Pep in the world. However, Klopp beat him. Should you go and get a better manager than him to work with this team to beat this Pep Guardiola guy? Maybe. I don't know who's out there. But there are managers that can beat Pep. Klopp has done it. So to me then, to say that the team is not good enough, your team is good enough. It's good enough to win the league. I'm not having it anything. Your team is good enough.
Okay, well, listen, let's see if it's good enough to come up against an Inter Milan side at the San Siro. Let's close on that. Talk to me about what you believe your team will be for the night and how you see this game going, bro.
We're going to play the same way, 3-5-2. Of course, it's going to be the lineup is going to talk about itself. Depends on how Hakan Çalhanoğlu is available or not. It's going to be Barella, maybe Zelinski, Mkhitaryan, and Hakan in the middle. At the back is going to be Bastoni, Pavard, and De Vrij because Acerbi is injured. Maybe Dumfries or Darmian and DeMarco on the left side and the 2 forwards, Thuram and Lautaro. Basically, one of the things that I'm not afraid of is that we know how to play against a team that play 4 in the back very well. We don't know how to play against a team that play 3 at the back the same way, which is something that, because we have the advantage. So to me, this is the team that's going to line up. We aren't going to press Arsenal as high as people think. This game is going to be played on details. I believe we can stop Arsenal from scoring. We're good in set pieces as well. I believe we're going to be able to defend deep and stop Arsenal from scoring completely. Your outlet is Bukayo Saka. He's the most important player. If we stop Saka, you stop Arsenal, basically. People are saying Odegaard is going to be back. I don't think he's going to throw him at the deep end at the San Siro. He has to wait until the Chelsea game. That is what I would do. I believe, to be honest, the way we set up is just we're going to exploit your sides, right? With having 2 forwards, one of the full backs have to tuck in, and our wing backs will be free, Dumfries and DeMarco, and this is where we go from there, to be honest. It's going to be the sides.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. So, look, we've got some width as well. Martinelli, at the moment, not one of our better players, but on his day can be hard and tough to come up against. Saka, we all know about. Are they the key danger points? If you're talking about width and you're talking about that, are they the key danger points for you, or is it just about keeping them quiet
Saka.
and trying to win?
Saka, to be honest with you. Saka behind our wing backs on transition is dangerous against Bastoni, 1-on-1. I value Saka highly. I think he's one of the best wingers in the world at the current moment. Very effective. We saw him at Liverpool. First touch is immense. Dribble and a finish was absolutely out of this world. So him, 1-on-1 against Bastoni. If Bastoni is isolated with Saka, I would back Saka against any defender in the world at the current moment, 1-on-1. And I think everybody would agree with this. It doesn't matter who the defender is. So that is your key element is this. In terms of Kai Havertz on De Vrij, if Acerbi was playing, I would say it would be much easier. Kai Havertz can bully De Vrij, but I don't think Kai Havertz is dangerous enough for us, to be honest. He's not dangerous enough for us, in my opinion.
What about set
But he will.
pieces, Mo? What about set pieces?
We're good. We're very good. We're like
Okay.
Liverpool. Did you see Liverpool? Liverpool are good and Arsenal are good. We can cancel each other. We're very good in set pieces, actually.
Okay.
However, I'm just gonna say this again. Arsenal are superior in terms of the set pieces, but Arsenal have not in the Champions League played well with set pieces. It's different. The standards of hacking the goalkeepers are different. We seen against Porto, you remember, and against Bayern Munich. If Arsenal try to do the routine set piece where you block the goalkeeper, it will be called a foul right away. You remember against Porto, Costa won like 5 fouls. And that's why Arsenal is not going to be the same in the Premier League. That the threshold for a free kick in the Champions League is different, is higher, is lower, I'm sorry, than the Premier League. So that's why I'm not worried. You can't hack the goalkeeper. You're just not going to be able to.
Okay, interesting. Look, I've got one more question before we get to a close. But before I ask that question, I'm going to ask you for a score prediction, Mo. What you said?
3-1 Inter.
3-1 Inter. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think that we might cancel each other out, and I think that we would actually happily walk away from the San Siro with a point. I don't know what that means in terms of the format and the league table
No,
and what it
bro,
might
no
mean.
one cares.
Early.
No
Yeah,
one cares.
I think it's early at the
I'm
moment.
telling you, these games, which is what people don't understand, they won't matter as much.
Okay. Well, look,
We
we've
have
got
other 4 games we
play.
can win. You know that, right?
Precisely. There's
That's
too many
it.
games. Yeah.
Too many games for you. Like your big games, like City against Inter, 0-0. Who cared?
Facts. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we drew to Atalanta. We've won the rest against PSG and Shakhtar. We now have yourself. I expect us to win all of the other games that we play. I expect us to beat Girona and Sporting away. I expect us to beat Dynamo Zagreb at home, Monaco at home. And then obviously that should put us through. So that's what should matter. Look, the last question I've got is Champions League. In terms of going the whole way, forget this fixture. Look at who you think will do well. Your prediction for how far Inter will go and how far Arsenal will go. What are you telling me?
Depending on the draw, but I think Inter can go all the way to semi-final or something. Arsenal can go all the way to semi-final as well.
Okay.
I think both teams are set up. We can win the champ. I believe my team can win the Champions League. It depends on the draw. I can face a Real Madrid or a Man City, and it's gonna be a 50-50 at that point. You know what I mean? So it depends on the draw. In terms of capabilities, I believe Inter can win the Champions League. Actually, we can win it all of it. Depends on the draw. To be honest, it's very complicated, but it depends on the draw. To be honest with you, so
Okay.
I will. To be honest with you, I'll back my team. However, if the draw is not as easy and we get knocked out, we get knocked out. You know what I mean? We got knocked out by Atletico Madrid by penalties. So
Look, football can change very quickly. At the moment, I think Arsenal and Inter Milan can do just as much as what Man City and Real Madrid can do. I look at the way that everyone's playing at the moment. I don't think there's one standout team. Real Madrid are struggling. Manchester City, they're not struggling, but they're getting across the line. They're not looking the same. Obviously, never write out Liverpool in this competition because they can go all the way. But right now, they're not wowing me. There's nobody in world football at the moment that's wowing me. Maybe I'm living under a rock or something, but I'm not looking at any of the teams in this Champions League by going, they are the ones right now. They're standing out there. They're absolutely delivering. So I think it could be a very competitive competition, and hopefully it will be because that's what we want, right? So that's where we're at. Listen, Mo, absolute legend getting you on, man. Thank you so much, man. How can people follow you? What you got coming up?
Footy Judge Mo, just follow me on Footy Judge Mo. Easy. Just stop Footy Judge Mo on YouTube. It'll pop up. So that's all I'm gonna
Love
say.
that. Love that, man. Make sure you're on Fitty Judge Mo. Make sure you go and subscribing. Similar to us, on the way to the big 30K people. So make sure you do me a favor
Yes,
and hit
sir.
the like and the subscribe button on both of these. So the big 30 is what me and Mo now need to hit. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.